Well, hello guys, here we are again. I want to talk to you today about create a new pathway for your life. In the last video I did, we spoke about that your vision is not dead. And the reason that it's not dead is because you've now been set on a new pathway. And I just want to expand on that just a little bit. I won't be before you long at all. What I want to say is that as you embrace this pathway now, that has come to you. As I said in the last video, again, there is a significant shift going on in the world today. And the energy, you can feel it in the atmosphere, you can feel it in your body. We know that change is taking place, tremendous change is taking place. And again, there's a lot of things out there that is in the body of chaos. We don't want to be in the body of chaos. That's not where we want to be. Okay, we're in the body of I say this word lightly, perfection. And that is that we're moving towards, in a very systematic way, to where it is we truly meant to be at this point in time in our lives. Again, when we came from out of eternity into time, we had a soul contract that we agreed. We agreed to the time that we would be born. We agreed that there were certain experiences and encounters that we wanted to have in our lives. But what happens is when we come through the birth canal, the birthing process is likened to a nuclear explosion. And so what happens is that we have amnesia, and we basically forget a lot of the soul contract that we agreed to, the things that we wanted to accomplish, the things that we wanted to experience. And unfortunately, some people never get the opportunity to embark on and embrace their true life purpose and calling. And the reason being is because they get stuck in man-made contracts and constructs, contracts and traditions that says that, go to school, finish high school, go to college, go to university, get married, get a good, government job or a job of a big company where you can retire with benefits, get a house, have a family, have your 2.5 children and so forth. And to a certain extent, family is fantastic. But oftentimes that is something that is imposed upon a person because the world says this is the norm. And oftentimes our true dreams, purpose, and vision is squashed so that, you might want to be an artist, or you might want to be a writer, you might want to be a painter, you might want to be a musician, or a physician. But somebody in your family says, no, we're bakers, and you're going to go in the family baking business. Or everybody in this family has been in the law enforcement, so everybody's going to go in law enforcement, and so forth. It's imposed upon us until we find the inner strength and inner courage to say, you know what? Maybe I agreed to that for a season because I wasn't sure what I was supposed to be doing. I wasn't sure what my life purpose was. But now I know, I have a sense, and maybe I can't explain it all to you in this moment. And I don't necessarily have to, because I don't necessarily owe you an explanation for my own existence, because it is my own, my life is my own, and I have the right to live it the way that I choose, for right or wrong. Yahweh says to us, I set before you two pathways, life and death, the broad way and the narrow way. And we have choice. There's always choice in the life that you live and the pathway that you take in the life that you live. And you have to find that inner strength that says to your parents, sometimes you have some parents that are overbearing from a wrong perspective. Then you have parents who are overbearing because they they so want to control the narrative of your life and where it goes. And oftentimes it's because they themselves have not lived out their own life purpose and vision the way that they wanted to, because things were imposed upon them. That, oftentimes, and I would say maybe 100 years ago, that narrative of getting married, having a family, getting a home, and retiring, was good. And it's still good to a certain extent today, but it has to align with what you agreed to in eternity for when you came into time to live and experience this reality, and to live that Christ consciousness, your higher awoken self aspect of you in this time frame. And so when you begin to shatter the matrix of your life from the world perspective, and you begin to enter into that pathway that you must walk, because again, and it bears repeating, everything that you require, you already have. I'll say it again. Everything that you require, that you need to succeed, you already have. The scripture tells us that it is Yahweh's good pleasure to give us the kingdom. And the kingdom encompasses everything that you need. Your security, your health, your wealth, in all aspects. In 3 John chapter 2 and verse 1, it says, beloved, above all things, I wish that you would, that you would prosper, that you would be in health and prosper as your soul prospers. And so getting in touch with that inner knowing and knowledge, because what happens is when you start to begin to become dissatisfied with the status quo of your life, glitches in the matrix begin to appear. And you begin to see, you know what? Maybe I had happiness in this before. Maybe this gave me joy in the past, but it isn't fulfilling me now. And I need to figure out what that is. And in the figuring out of what that is the new pathway that you're embracing. It's the new pathway that you're going to walk on. On that pathway are experiences, resources, people, human assets, human agents, all the favor, the blessings, and the divine connections that you need are there. Let's look at the life of Abraham and several other characters out of the Bible. Now, whether you believe in that or not is irrelevant. But listen to the story. Yahweh tells Abraham in Genesis chapter 12, leave your father's house. Leave the country, leave the house, leave the land, leave everything. I mean, just up and leave. Go to another country where I will bless you. I'm paraphrasing here. I'll bless you. I will make a great nation out of you. In other words, I'm going to create connectivities with people, because nation refers to peoples. He's going to give you a new land, new people to connect with and bond with. Unfortunately, and let me caution you, as you walk on this new pathway that's been created for you, and it was created before the foundation of the world, you are just now aligning with it in such a way that you can radiate almost seamlessly if you do it correctly. And you have to be bold, and you must have courage to do it correctly. And Abraham made a mistake. He was told to leave everyone. The only person he was supposed to take in with him was his wife. But he took, as we know the story, his nephew Lot, because he had a longing based on his own desires, and again, inferred to him from the culture that as a man in his culture, he must have a wife and he must have sons to carry on his lineage. You know, they weren't thinking too much about the ladies back then. And so he did not have this lineage that he felt was so necessary for him. And what he didn't understand was that if he had stayed on the path, on the pathway was Isaac. Listen to me. So he takes Lot with him, and he's still successful because Yahweh and he, in eternity, had such a soul contract for his experience in life in time to be an example for the rest of us. It was tremendous. But he made some mistakes along the way, and nobody's perfect. We all do it. But Yahweh's built grace into the pathway for us. I want you to understand that. And so he brings his nephew with him as a proxy for his son, and they begin to be very successful. And in that success, Lot's employees and Abraham employees begin to have a controversy. They begin to fight about the land and whose cattle should graze where. You know, if we bring that into the 21st century, you might be a franchisee, or, you know, you might want to open some kind of a business that you could turn into a franchise. You might start it out with your family because you feel safe. You know, that's another reason why we never get onto the pathway, because we're looking for safety. And so we try to stay connected, and we try to join ourselves with people that we're not supposed to be joined with. Long story short, he and Lot's people begin to have issues, and there's fighting. And so Abraham now realizes his mistake, and he now has to correct it. And this is very hurtful and painful for him. This was a deep wound, because this was like giving away the child that he never had, but he took into his life. And the sad part is that child, that Lot, was not appreciative of what Abraham had done for him, and did not realize that everything he had was because of Abraham. Nothing Lot accomplished was of his own, because he didn't have anything. He got it through Abraham. And there are some people in your life that have accomplished things, and they've gotten stuff simply because you were there and they were connected to you. But Yahweh intervenes, and there comes a times when he makes a separation, and that separation happens. And in that separation, Lot exposes his ungratefulness and his lack of gratitude for everything that Abraham has done to him. And some of you, when you walk on this new pathway that's been created for you, you're going to experience this same thing. And you're going to say, my goodness, you know, we went to church together. We went to the ball game together. We went on fishing and hunting trips together. We went on girls' trips together. And it was all wonderful. But now it has to come to an end. There might be sadness. It doesn't have to be bitterness, because you had a great time. But now it has to come to an end, because time is of essence. You must press on in this new pathway where you must go. And he says to Lot, you know, look out and choose. Which part do you want? Obviously, Lot chose the best part for himself. And you know, Yahweh has a way of disguising things. And when people dismiss you and they discount you and they look at you and they say, you know what? I brought everything to the table and you really didn't bring anything, even though you were at the table. So now I'm going to move on from you. But what they don't know is Yahweh can take anything that is given to you, even the thing that looks dead, the vision that you thought was dead but is now alive again, and he can raise it up. And this time he will bring the right people, because you will be on the right timeline, the right frequency to connect with the right people who understands the vision, who understands the values that are being brought to the table for you to flourish. And it's a mutually beneficial thing for everybody concerned. And this is why it becomes seamless and it seems flawless and it seems just to flow. Remember, I said in the other video that it's because you're sitting on your throne and you're operating from a place of power and authority to execute the vision now, because you're in the right frequency, in the right flow, the right time, the right place, the right people for it to come to pass. None of this is going to happen if you continue to stay in your current space, your current location, where you are. Some of you will have to move to another country. Some of you will stay in the same country you're in the same city that you're in, but you're going to move from the people that you're currently hanging around with, that you're currently operating with, so that you can embrace and walk on this new pathway and encounter all of the opportunities that are sitting on that pathway for you. You're not going to get them if you remain where you are. And this is a strong encouragement for you to release some people and to release yourself, your own fears. This is going to call for you sometimes for the first time to put yourself first in order to walk on this new pathway. And yes, there are going to be voices in the background saying you're very selfish, that, you know, how could you leave? The question becomes, how can you stay? And the thing about how can you stay, whether you have to go to another country, whether it's you moving out of that house, you know, some of you stay because of the children, because of the marriage, because of the position, because of the titles, because of the money, and you stay and you lose because it's not where you're supposed to be anymore. And you have to move on. So when you walk on this pathway that has been created for you, you have to leave everything that was familiar. And then this is where the law of radiance kicks in, and I'm going to talk about that in some other videos. But in a nutshell, the law of radiance means that instead of you trying to accomplish things from the external on the outside, looking in, you're now operating from your inside, from the internal inner man. You sitting on your throne and operating from that space. And as you operate from that space of inner maturity to function as a king. And the king here is just a title. It's all it is. You could say as a queen, as an empress. The thing is that you're ruling from this space. And there's no ambiguity about it. You may not see the whole picture, and you don't need to, really. What you do need to do is go with the flow of knowing this is right for you. It's the right time for you to make this move, to make this transition into what it is, what it is that you've called to do. What was that vision that you put down? Because tradition said you're a woman and you need to just get married and have children and be a soccer mom. What vision is it that you put down? Because tradition says that you have to go and get married and have a wife and have children and have a home and have grandchildren and then die. What was it? That's what you're tapping into now. It's not going to happen if you stay in your current place. It's not going to happen. You have to be bold and you have to step into the new. Your matrix has shattered. And there's no putting it back together, because if you remain where you are, life is going to become so uncomfortable and so difficult for you. You're going to wish that you'd gone down that road, even though you didn't know where it was fully going. And so I encourage you today to step into your new pathway and sit down with yourself and ask yourself, what does this new pathway look like? And allow yourself in mindfulness to see it. Because glimpses of it will come to you. A fullness of it will come to you. Some of you listening to me right now, Yahweh has already told you to shut certain things down. Just close them off. And you were still trying to hold on, but then it began to come to you. You know what? I can't do this anymore. Because you're not meant to do this anymore. You're meant to embrace this new pathway that you created. And you created it a long time ago, as I said. You're just now aligning yourself and radiating with the right frequency to walk it out. And it's going to be exciting for you. It's going to be filled with everything that you thought it could be and more. I'll talk to you soon in the next video. Need to put on my glasses.